is a developer that I just met in the airport. And believe it or not, everything is history. And it's so amazing because from 300 million a year, and they become a 9 billion a year company. And I'm talking to Recom, and actually the one who really propelled the growth of this company, the COO of Recom Community, we have Boss Carson Choate.
Hello. So, good morning, everyone.
Morning!
So, I'm sure you've had a very excellent and education-rich morning today. So, I'll try to contribute as much as I can, and I'll share with you basically what Boss Don and Boss May asked me to do was to share the story of Rico. How did a small company become what it is today? Although to tell you honestly, sitting side by side with Cebulan Masters, we know we are still years and millions or billions away from where they are right now. But still, we're very proud of the story that we've done so far. And I'm very happy that Filipino Homes and Boston has been part of the story that we have been embarking the past few years. So, basically, I would like to break down the WeCom story in multiple stages. So we have our early years, which is from 2008 to 2012. During this time, it was just Cesar Wee who was managing WeCom. Then we have our filling out years, which is 2013 to 2015. Then we started our first campaign, major campaign of 10 and 20, which was in 2016 to 2020, and 14-25, which is 2021 until 2025. So this year is 2023, so we are still within the 40 and 25 era of BCom. Then the future is basically, it's still something that we're working on, but I'm sure with the help of everyone here, we'll be able to get there. So basically what we did here is for every stage of the company's story, I indicated here what we wanted to prioritize or what are the sentiments we had. So filling out years, prioritizing growth, sustaining growth, then prioritizing efficiency. Then the future, our goal is actually marrying growth with efficiency, then creating the WeCom brand and legacy. So I'll share with you our story. So I joined WeCom in 2012. So Cesar and I are both mentees of Uncle Jerry Choa. So Jerry Choa is my uncle. He's the youngest brother of my dad. So way back 2001, right after I graduated from college, si Uncle Jerry was where we were. So basically, Pro Friends was a very small company then. So my Uncle Jerry and my other uncle, Uncle Bansan, used to work together in a company. Unfortunately, as the company grew, they were not aligned in terms of the vision where they wanted to bring the company. Eventually, they parted ways, and si Uncle Jerry started Pro Friends in 2000. When he was starting, he didn't have a lot of properties available. He wasn't able to do proper land banking. So what he did then was he invited two types of people, actually three types of people. The first one are people who had properties who he can do joint ventures with. Number two are people who had money or equity to put in to develop projects. And third, he's also looking for young, up-and-coming, or maybe aggressive entrepreneurs who he can mold into future entrepreneurs. So that's where Cesar and I came in. My dad had several properties in Cavite, so my uncle took me under his wing and made me a project director of projects under Pro Friends during that time. And Cesar, although his family owns the W Group in BGC, he actually decided not to fully integrate himself into their family business. So he left his family business and joined my uncle's company, and his dad eventually became one of the initial investors of True Friends. Okay, so fast forward a few years, natuto kami, we started learning about the business, understanding the different aspects of development, then we parted ways. When Pro Friends became much bigger, eventually they realized that they did not need us anymore. So eventually I joined my family's business. Cesar was actually fired by my uncle. Okay. Then he started his company, which is We Community, in 2008. And I joined Cesar in 2012. So that's basically the history of how Cesar and I started working together. So what were the things that really imprinted on me? First, it was a business relationship that started with a handshake. No written document, no MOAs, no joint ventures. It's a simple gentleman's agreement. We shook hands and said, let's start something, let's create something. Hopefully, it will lead to something bigger. Okay. Then, the second one is, why was I confident, or why was Cesar confident in me as well? Because I feel that we share the same language. Since we trained under my Uncle Jerry, basically the principles we do in real estate were more or less the same. The most difficult thing if you enter into a business is to have, not really to have different approaches. It's to have different beliefs, different business motivations, and different sa Tagalog, paninindigan. So both Cesar and I had the same language, we speak the same language, so working together was actually easier. So during the first 2 to 3 years that we were together, we were really underdogs. When I joined WeCom was only doing around 150 million annually. So WeCom was doing one project at a time because Cesar would buy the property, develop, fund it himself, sell, get the takeout, buy another property, so the process keeps on going on. It was worthwhile, but it was taking too long. So next is, when I joined Cesar, I understood that WeCom wasn't a big company. So can you imagine, when we first had our talk, he asked me, anong sweldo yung nahanap mo, Carson? So I don't know, I don't want to take any salary. I'll be your industrial partner. So I'll handle 2 projects for you. You don't have to pay me anything, but I get 10% of whatever the earnings of the company will be. Okay, sabi niya, how will you live for your monthly needs? Sabi ko, just give me advances. 15,000 every month, charged against my share. So that's where I say na, you bet on yourself. Okay, so ibig sabihin, if I failed, I would have spent 3 years of my life earning nothing. Okay, so everyone here in this room, actually you betted on yourself. Boston gave you a platform, but at the end of the day, you have to bet on yourself. So it was a big gamble for me. I was just married maybe 5 years, still childless during that time, and the future I wasn't sure. But I had a little bit of confidence that we will be able to pull it off. So we went all in. I said, Sir, whatever I earn from this project, deduct my 15,000 every month, whatever is net, put it back to the second project. I will not get anything. So that's a second lesson I think everyone has to learn also. It's delayed gratification. Hindi po may kinita ka agad ngayon, bukas nagastusin mo na siya. Okay, so third, I think this is the most important one. It's having a grateful heart. Okay, why is it important? Being grateful, I always stress it to anyone I talk to, is different from being indebted. Iba yun ha? Being indebted means meron kang utang na loob. Yung taong indebted ka, and yung taong pinagkakautangan mo, that is not a very good, healthy relationship. When you say a grateful heart, he helps you, and you work every day to make sure the risk that he gave you and the opportunity, you pay for it without him asking for anything in return. So dapat ganun yung outlook natin. Okay. So what did we realize during this first 3 years? We only had one partner bank, which was Security Bank. The first time we went to Metro Bank to talk to them about the developmental loan, the president laughed at us because we were wearing jeans and sneakers. And he said, maayos ba yung papers ninyo? How's your books? Siyempre, wala kaming alam nun. So, and then he said, as a parting shot, next time you meet me, please wear something more appropriate. Okay. Okay. So, it was a learning lesson because, number one, we realized that we still had a lot of things to improve on. Okay? And after those 3 years, what did we want to be? Simple lang. No long-term visions yet. No long-term plans. It's as simple as we just want to be a developer of considerable size so that when we talk to suppliers, we don't have to pay cash. So when we talk to banks, they don't charge us super high rates. So when we talk to clients, they don't ask, sino ba kayo? Right? So the goal was really just to create a little bit size so that when we talk to suppliers, they understand we may not be that big, but we can order something substantial. And when we talk to banks, we may not be that big, but they are looking at us as a serious player wherein the money that they will risk to fund our project is something safe. So that was our first 3 years. Next. When things started going well, the relationship I had with Cesar evolved from having one project at a time to something creating visions already. So, nag-usap kami. This time, I was with my 3 other brothers. I'm sure you know them. Si Carter, Arvin, and Carlo. So we started talking. Okay, we've now proven that we can at least sell, build, and deliver projects on time and within budget. And I think we already have some credibility when we talk to suppliers and banks. Maybe we can now start doing something bigger and better. So this is when we started conceptualizing the 10 in 20. Okay, what does 10 in 20 mean? So in 2015, we ended the year at just 700 million. So when I joined WeCom, it was 150 million only a year. So after 2-3 years, we bumped to 700 million a year. So nag-usap kami, let's go for something big, something crazy. Imagine, we've never hit 1 billion annually then. And we were targeting already around 2 billion annually. That is 2 billion average every year for the next 5 years, or 10 billion from 2016 until 2020. That was our first short-term vision. Second note that I would like to share is, when you have visions, it doesn't have to be a vision that will carry you all throughout your life. People evolve, opportunities evolve, a lot of things changes. Your vision should also, in a way, be able to adjust, as long as the core principles are the same. So that's when we started thinking, really, let's create a short-term vision for WeCom. Then, we also knew that we did not have money to buy properties. Imagine a development company looking at selling 2 billion annually. Wala naman kaming lupa. Tama? And for us to be able to hit that number, we understood that for us to grow, we needed to do joint ventures. So that's when we embraced the idea of expanding through JVs. So the idea was, when we first approached this idea to my uncle, sabi niya, Di mo ba alam, giving up equity is the one of the most expensive costs in development. Sabi ko, we understand, but we also understand our limitation. So instead of owning 100% of one project, we'll be happier owning 70% of 5 projects. Ang kalaban namin during that time wasn't only the lack of land, but also time. If we wanted to hit 10 billion in 5 years, we needed more than one project. We needed more than 2 projects. So we expanded. Next is, the question is, if you will expand, where would you expand? Will it be in Metro Manila? That's our home base. But then Metro Manila is very competitive already. You have your big players there. Diba? So we said, why don't we look for Metro Manila outside of Metro Manila? If Cavite, Laguna, Batangas sees Metro Manila as their CBD, I'm sure there's a CBD for Mindanao, there's a CBD for Visayas, etc. So that's when we started going to the regions. So we went to Davao, then we went to Iloilo. A year and a half ago, we entered CDO. Next year, our target is to go to Bacolod and Cebu. Okay? So, next is, also during this time, we were thinking, do we fix everything or do we go on the jump? So that's why we prioritize growth over efficiency. Meaning, not everything we did kumita ng malaki. Not all projects that we went into were gangbusters. Some failed, some were slow, some were fast. But the important thing that is, we really wanted to push growth during this time. Then, it was also the time that we started toying with how do we want WeCom to be known for in the industry. That's when we termed the coin beyond ordinary. Pero at this stage, sobrang mababaw lang yung ibig sabihin ng beyond ordinary namin nun. It was purely a beyond ordinary concept on a price point perspective. Kung 3 million siya, 2.5 kami. Kung 4 million siya, 3.5 kami. Okay? Kung 6 by 6, 12 by 12 inches ang tiles niya, 16 by 16 kami. That's a very simple way of appreciating what beyond ordinary is. But during that time, that was all it was. Okay? So, ano yung lessons na natutunan namin during 10 and 20? One is, you have to weigh between acting versus waiting. Do I wait for everything to be perfect? Or do I start acting now and work on the imperfect things along the way? Number 2, mentorship and paying it forward. So this is one of the more unique things or approaches that we did when we started the joint venture schemes for WeCom. Normally, when you do a joint venture with a landowner, the dealings are very simple. I'll give you X% share. Let us handle everything. At the end of the day, we'll just give you something. Okay. Sa akin, it's different. Recalling how Uncle Jerry trained us, we also wanted to train new future developers in the industry. So for every JV that we do, we ask a family member of our JV partner to be trained under our company as a project director. So they ask, why are you training future competition in the future? And the answer is very simple. Because it's the same question I asked my Uncle Jerry before. Sabi ko, Sacha, why are you training me? In the next few years, if I do really well, I may be competing against you. And his answer was very simple. He said, in the next 10 years, if you are already as big as me now, there must be something wrong with me if I am not bigger than you 10 years from now. So what he was looking at wasn't a competitor in the future. What he was looking at is a future collaborator in the future. True enough, ProFriends is now a joint venture partner of Mecom in 3 of our projects. Okay.
Una ha.
Then, 2 more things that are important to me na I wanted to stress. When the company is going, the first knee-jerk reaction of someone is what? May pera na tayo, pwede na tayong gumastos. Okay? So I made it very clear, even at my position, when I go to the regions, I never take business class seats. When I go to hotels, I have a limit in terms of how much yung gagastusin ko for hotels. Because I cannot look at my staff and say, take the red-eye flights and I take a business class seat with the best time slot. I cannot tell my staff that you stay here, but I'll be staying in a 5-star hotel. So basically, I put it upon myself to put a limit in terms of how I want to, how much I want to spend in terms of how the company is operated. Because if they see you working with them or see you as being like them, then everyone else follows. So that's also critical. Leadership through example. Okay, last is, I think this is very important also for us. As we were growing, we were faced with the challenge of, will we go too corporate or do we want to be more a family? I think for the brokers and the sellers who know us, you know the decision that we took. We are a very family-oriented company. We try to foster growth. We care for our people in a very genuine manner. Hindi namin sinasabi lang yan para maganda pakinggan. We do it, we act it out, and our employees feel it. Next. This is, thank you. So this is where we are now. We're now on the 40 and 25. So when we finished 2020, our target was to hit 10 billion in 5 years. And I'm thankful to all the support of everyone. We were able to hit 18 billion in 5 years. So because of that, lumaki ulit yung pangarap namin. Well, kaya pala eh. From 10 billion, you're able to hit 18. Let's go for something bigger. So this is where 40 and 25 is. Okay? So 40 and 25 is 40 billion starting 2021 until 2025. This year is 2023. We are tracking around 25 billion. Okay? So our target is to eclipse 40 and to hit 50 by 2025. Okay? So what are the learnings naman na meron kami dito? We realized that in the first 5 years of our expansion, I was the one really flying in and out, setting up offices. It really took a toll on me. So from 280 pounds. Okay. Sabi niya, yun na yung weight mo, hindi. Yun yung payat pa ako nun, 280. So I ballooned all the way to 320. Because of, you know, stress eating, when you're out in the province, you really have to meet a lot of people. Then my wife told me, sooner or later, you'll kill yourself. Okay. Then it came at the, we arrived at the realization that not everything needs to be done by you. If you really created a really excellent organization, they are more than enough. Actually, they can do a better job than you. So I think that's also one of the realizations that everyone in this room has to make. You are now a seller, eventually you can become a manager. You should allow your performing seller to eventually become a manager. Then a manager can become a team lead, etc., so on and so on. So basically, what we did was, we created more leaders through area heads. My brothers, who used to be head of technical, head of accounting, head of sales, are now effectively mini COOs of their own respective areas. Inadvertently, gumanda pa siya. Why? Because the level of personalization, the level of intimacy, hindi nawala. Because they are actually extensions of myself. Right? Then from CLP, ano yung ibig sabihin ng CLP? It's cute little projects. Before we would do 1,000 square meter properties, 8 stories, now we are moving into townships. This is where you see the values of economies of scale. In 1425 era ng WICOM, we started now looking at how do we make the company more efficient because we already hit a certain level of growth. It doesn't mean that when you want to become more efficient, you sacrifice creativity. Because some companies fall into that trap. I'm sure you know some companies that have gone so big, kung meron kayong gustong parating, dadaan muna sa 10 tao bago umabot yung problema niyo. So with us, even if the company has grown substantially, we would want to keep our ears on the ground and to listen to people on how things are going. Next, this is now when we started redefining what beyond ordinary means. Beyond ordinary is no longer contained or defined by the products that we offer. It encompasses in terms of how everyone in the office should be performing. Anong ibig sabihin ng beyond ordinary? Ibig sabihin ngayon ng beyond ordinary is not because we are doing things better or mas maganda o mas magaling kaysa sa iba. We're not. Your product is inferior to our product. What beyond ordinary means is that you do the ordinary things extraordinarily. Okay? You take the extra step, you do the extra mile. It's the same thing, but you just do it better. Then, we also now are faced with the issue of, do we segmentize our projects? If you look at the bigger developments, you have Ayala Premier, Alveo, Avida, Amaya, so on and so forth. We seriously considered if we will do that. Pero at the end of the day, we decided that whatever market that we tap into, as long as it's done beyond ordinary, we don't have to segmentize the market. Okay. Our goal now for the next 2 to 3 years is to no longer be known as an up-and-coming developer. We now want to be known as a developer that sets new standards in terms of how development should be and how a developer should act. So now we are beyond ordinary and we are beyond Metro Manila. So we have several companies throughout the regions. Then these are just some images of the projects that are currently ongoing, present in Visayas, Luzon, and Mindanao. Then these are our portfolios. Kung makikita ninyo, the first upper 4 boxes are what we call the CLPs, cute little projects. But now we're shifting to bigger projects. Diyan just sa timeline, pakita ko lang sa inyo. Can you see the highlight? Para nag-mix, no? So if you look at the first 3 years, these are small, 3 small projects. Then when we move to the next 3 years, from 8 stories, we move to 25, 30 stories. But then in 2025, the number of projects that we opened were relatively similar to 2013 to 2015. But the main difference was they're no longer single small projects. They're now 25 hectare, 40 hectare, 50 hectare developments, twin tower developments. Then now from 2021 to soon, which will be launching, you can see a lot of projects in the pipeline. Okay, then also, BCom has been recognized in the Property Guru way back in 2019. And currently, from an office that only had 7 employees, including myself, now we are 400 strong. Amazing. And even if mapapansin nyo dito, we are corporate but we are not showing any corporate pictures. because how we treat our employees as a family is very much how we are. Then, in the next 2 years, WeCom is moving to our first ever corporate headquarters in Mandaluyong. So that's 4,000 square meters for our office alone. Then hopefully 2026, we embark on a new challenge. The idea of publicly listing is part of the consideration. But then it's too early. It's something for us to work on. But that has been the story of WeCom so far. Okay, so again guys, thank you very much for being part of the journey.
Thank you very much, Boss Carson. Grabe.